Hi there, I'm Andrew, you're watching ThatGamerAjax, and welcome to this very basic video on how to play the Field Knight in sci-fi tabletop game Veil of the Void. Now, the Field Knight is probably the most aggressive and the tankiest class that is currently available to us in this game that really focuses on dishing out a high amount of damage through very aggressive maneuvers by using either a jetpack or rocket boots. Now, while this class does have a couple of downsides, if you want to play in the thick of things, or if you're used to playing like a barbarian or a fighter in Dungeons & Dragons, this is a class that I would highly recommend to you. So let's go ahead and get started with some of the strengths of this class. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Field Knight is by far the tankiest class. It is the only class in the game that focuses on vitality, which would be your constitution score in Dungeons & Dragons, if you're a little bit more familiar with that, to deal its damage or to kind of badger your enemies around the battlefield. And because vitality is your highest score, you're also going to be having a lot more health than any other class. Now, whenever you level up, while playing the Field Knight, you get 2d6 plus your vitality score, which is a lot more than almost any of the other classes who are either getting only a single d6 or a d6 plus a d3. The Field Knight also offers tons of mobility for being a very heavily armored tank class through using either a jetpack or rocket boots, which really give you these massive bursts of movement. And on top of this, you're able to use one of your signature traits, which is to charge into an enemy. When you do this, you can either hit them for just raw damage, or you can attempt to grab that enemy and then drag them along or slam them into something for even more damage and kind of give you a little bit more crowd control while you're playing the game. Now, Field Knights are also able to automatically succeed on attacks if you start missing. So this is a class that's going to be thriving the longer a fight goes on. The way that your battle charges work is that anytime that you miss an attack, you get one charge. When you get up to 3 charges with this class, you can expend those to automatically succeed on a hit. Or later in the game, you're going to be able to start using these for various things, such as taunting enemies so that way they can stay off of your squishier companions. Eventually, Field Knights also become a great protector style class. You're able to give your allies shields, which are going to start blocking incoming damage from either ranged or melee attacks. And when you're able to start using those jumps around the battlefield, you can start getting to your allies and helping protect them a little bit better, making so that way enemies have to fight you instead. You can also use those taunts that we mentioned earlier to really kind of draw all the aggression towards yourself. Now, when it comes to the weaknesses of the Field Knight, there are only a couple that I can really think of off the top of my head. First and foremost, I feel like this is a class that you're not going to really want to play as a ranged unit at all, just because of the way that you're going to want to be repositioning around the battlefield on a very regular basis, and there are some pretty bad negatives to trying to use a ranged weapon in melee distance. Now, that being said, this is still something that rewards ranged play because you do get a couple of rocket-empowered moves that you can use from range. But just keep in mind that you're really going to want to focus on using either one-handed or two-handed weapons to get in the thick of a fight and really dish out the maximum damage. Now, this is also a class that is going to be a little bit more challenging for you in terms of roleplay because it doesn't get a whole lot of roleplay specific traits. A lot of these are focused on combat. As a general helpful tip though, Field Knights rely on intensive training and are very honor bound more than the other classes, except for maybe perhaps the soldier class, which we'll be covering in a later video. So all in all, the Field Knight is a great tanky option if you like playing melee units or you like being the tank in your group that I would actually recommend towards newer players. You don't have to keep track of as many things as some of the other like spellcasting classes, and because you're not really using ranged weapons, you don't really have to keep track of your ammo. The only things that you really need to keep track of are those battle charges, which you only get when you miss. So really there's only a limited number of things that you'll need to keep in mind. If you enjoy playing barbarians or fighters in Dungeons & Dragons, this is going to be the perfect class for you to really start transitioning over into playing a more sci-fi game. Now, here's a quick question for the community. Have you even heard of Veil of the Void? If not, maybe this would be something that could get you interested. So let's get a little conversation going about, what kind of classes do you generally like to play in tabletop games? Maybe I can give you some recommendations for what would work in this one. So until next time, see you then. Bye.